Welcome back, everyone. Today's tale is one that seeps into your bones and lingers long after it ends. It's about a hallway, a man, and the price of not listening to warnings. Turn off your lights, grab your headphones, and let's dive into the man in the hallway. The house on 239 Oakwell Street had stood abandoned for over 50 years. It wasn't just forgotten, it was avoided. The surrounding neighborhood grew up around it, children played nearby, but none would come close. Ah, fuck me daddy. Rusting iron fence circled the perimeter, and the gate, perpetually ajar, groaned with the slightest breeze. Locals passed around stories. There were rumors of disappearances, of lights in the attic, of a woman seen staring out the third-floor window despite the house being empty for decades. But no one ever stayed long enough to know for sure. The history of the place had faded, details lost, records misfiled or destroyed. Then came Audrey Calloway. She was 28. Quiet, methodical, drawn to forgotten histories and hidden things. As an archivist working for the New England Historical Preservation Society, Audrey specialized in cataloging personal belongings found in abandoned homes, often restoring lost pieces of people's lives to public records. When she received a letter informing her she had inherited a property from a great-aunt she'd never met, she was confused. When she saw it was 239 Oakwell, she was intrigued. Audrey didn't scare easily. She saw the project as a challenge, restoring the house, unraveling its secrets. She moved in during late autumn, with the trees nearly bare and the skies gray. From the moment she stepped onto the porch, she felt it, a stillness that wasn't peaceful. It was expectant, like the house had been waiting. The first week passed in a flurry of activity. Audrey cleaned, sorted, and began documenting. There was something beautiful beneath the dust. Ornate woodwork, stained glass insets on doors, delicate floral wallpaper under layers of grime. She felt connected to the house in a strange way, like it had personality, mood. She talked to it sometimes. Thanked it aloud when she found something interesting. Laughed when a floorboard squealed. But one thing unsettled her immediately. The third-floor window. The house had 3 levels, the main floor, a second with bedrooms, and a cramped third floor accessible only by a steep, narrow staircase hidden behind a bookshelf. The attic room was small, with a peaked ceiling and a large arched window that looked out over the front yard. That window was open when she arrived. Not broken. Just open. Slightly ajar. She closed it. But the next morning, it was open again. She assumed she hadn't latched it. But she checked. She latched it firmly. Secured the lever. Even placed a heavy chair in front of it. The next morning, open. It became a ritual. She'd close the window at night. And every morning, it would be open. Audrey rationalized. The frame was probably warped. Maybe the latch was old. She made a note to fix it. But something inside her itched, uncomfortable. She stopped sleeping on the second floor, moving her bedroll to the living room. The dreams began after that. They started subtly. Dreams of walking through long hallways, of hearing footsteps behind her but never seeing who followed. Then came the boy. He appeared on the 4th night. Pale. 6, maybe 7. Wearing a nightgown. Eyes wide. Mouth open, but not speaking. Just silently screaming. He stood outside the third-floor window in her dream, fog swirling around his feet. Each night, he took a step closer to the glass. Never blinking. Never closing his mouth. Audrey started waking at 3:47 a.m. every night, drenched in sweat, heart racing. She began recording herself during sleep using her phone's voice app. Mostly, she heard her own restless breathing. But on the 7th night, she captured something else. A child's whisper, "I opened it for you." She listened to it dozens of times. The voice was faint, breathy, but clear. "I opened it for you." Audrey threw herself into research. She scoured town records, visited the local library, called the Historical Society. but records on 239 Oakwell were incomplete. The original building permit was dated 1901. It had passed through several hands, until it landed with a family named the Halsteads in 1968. The Halsteads, Gregory, Evelyn, and their son, James, vanished in 1971. No bodies. No police follow-up. Just a note that read, "Family no longer resides." She returned to the house, determined to learn more. That's when she found the trunk. It was hidden behind a false panel in the upstairs linen closet. Inside were photographs, sepia-toned and curled with age. There were notes, postcards, and a leather-bound journal with fraying edges. The photos showed a family of 3. The mother smiling. The father stoic. The child, James, expressionless. In several photos, James stared directly into the camera. But his eyes never seemed to match the rest of his face. Too wide. Too hollow. In the journal, Evelyn wrote of James's sleepwalking. His strange behavior. His growing obsession with the third-floor room. He says there's a boy in the window. But when I ask him to describe the boy, he just says, "It's me. He woke me last night, standing at the foot of our bed. Said the boy in the window wanted to switch." The final entry, Gregory says I'm hysterical. But James's eyes don't look like his anymore. And the window, God help me, the window won't stay closed. Audrey couldn't breathe. She dropped the journal. It fell open to a page where James had drawn something, 2 stick figures. One with a smile. The other with its mouth wide open. Audrey started hearing footsteps again. But not above her this time, below. The basement, where she hadn't ventured. She descended one afternoon, flashlight in hand. The air grew cold, metallic. The basement was unfinished, stone walls damp with mildew. In the far corner, behind rusted shelves, she found a mirror. Tall. Covered with a tarp. She pulled it off. Her reflection stared back, but something was wrong. Her eyes moved too slowly. A beat off. Her smile lingered after she stopped smiling. She ran upstairs. That night, she locked every door. Covered every mirror. But she couldn't sleep. At 3:47 a.m., she heard it. Footsteps. Upstairs. She listened, frozen, as they came down the hallway. One step. Pause. Another. Then scratching at her door. She waited until dawn. When she opened the door, nothing. But the mirror in the hallway was uncovered. She hadn't touched it. She set up a camera at the bottom of the stairs, pointing at the third-floor door. Watched the footage the next morning. At exactly 3:47 a.m., the door creaked open. Slowly. The camera glitched. For a single frame, a pale face appeared at the top of the stairs. James. His eyes were black. That was the night she decided to leave. She packed her car, grabbed her journal, and drove. But every road out of Oakwell twisted back to the house. She passed the same dead tree. The same rusted sign. Over and over. By midnight, she was back at the house. She confronted the third floor. She climbed the steps. The door was open. The chair faced the window. On the glass, in the condensation, a child's handprint. She sat in the chair. Stared out the window. Fog again. But no road. No street. Just white. She looked into the glass, and saw herself. But not quite. This version smiled too much. Tilted her head. And whispered, "Your turn." Audrey reached out. The glass was soft. Liquid. She pressed forward, and vanished. 1 week later, a cleaning crew entered the home. No Audrey. No signs of struggle. But in the third-floor room, a photo rested on the chair. A woman. Smiling. Looking out the window. And behind her, a pale child. mouth open, waiting. If this story left you uneasy, you're not alone. What would you have done in Audrey's place? Would you have opened the window? Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your theories below. And remember, if a window keeps opening on its own, it may not be the wind. It might be an invitation. Until next time, keep your curtains closed, and your mirrors covered.